I am extremely bullish on crypto right now, and here's exactly why. Matter of fact, I've never been as bullish as I am right now. Right now. And the thing is, many people for some reason seem to get struck by all this fear, uncertainty, and doubt. They fall into the trap of believing that this time is going to be different in terms of a cycle than all the previous times around, and they sell. And they go crazy bearish, and I always keep reminding people, statistically speaking, the best thing you can always do is follow the trend. Follow the most logical path forward, and in hindsight, we can say, oh, that would have been your best entry, or that would have been your best entry, but all of that, it matters no longer. Right now, we've had 1 year of consistent gains in the crypto market, and so logically speaking, the best thing to go for, as every single time this part of the cycle, things continue to go up. I mean, we have seen some dips in this period, but generally speaking, no lower dip is seen. I personally think it's about time in the markets rather than timing the markets. But in this video, I want to quickly go over with you guys a couple of my new investments. I've bought, or at least I'm buying into 2 new coins that you guys have got to check out, as they both have got themselves an interesting narrative. Matter of fact, we'll cover that at the end of this video. I also want to cover exactly one of the most interesting things the SEC has ever said. And I honestly believe that this statement on its own might be what's pumping crypto right now. I just came from a meeting with, I'm going to say, 60 crypto Twitter people and crypto YouTubers, crypto people here over in Dubai, which is why I'm recording this at, you can't perfectly see, 3:10 a.m. right now. And I noticed, even though many of these people are geniuses, have made tons of money and will make tons of money in the future, a lot of those guys make money off of gems, off of these crazy small crypto investments, or starting their own project for that matter. And most people don't really know what's going on day to day, which was rather interesting, which is also why I want to keep you guys as perfectly informed as possible. And that's why I've got to show you this news snippet. So first and foremost, the SEC has been a major contributor in making my pockets look kind of thin. All right, I won't say my pockets are empty, but I'll say they could have been a lot fuller had it not been for the US SEC. And I think every single person watching this would agree that had they not been such douchebags, we would have definitely done a significant amount better in crypto, at least right now. Matter of fact, right now we're pumping pretty significantly. You might say these numbers are rookie numbers, and yeah, in a crazy bull market, going up 5% on an XRP means almost nothing. Blur up 40%. Yeah, it's good, but it's, again, a normal number in a bull market. FTT up 30%, etc., etc. Solana up about 10%. And I, by the way, think that BNB can recover pretty hard in the near future, as they went down significantly, mostly because of Binance fear. But there's really not that much reason to sell BNB right now. At least I can't really think of any good reason. There are many very big bears, but I don't fully understand it. As I was saying, though, we got ourselves refilings for Bitcoin ETFs. I'm not sure exactly which parties were going for it. It's not necessarily that important. But at the same time, it's interesting that this most likely is all coming from the fact that the SEC themselves is saying they have no real reason to block Bitcoin spot ETFs. More specifically, Hester Peirce declares there's no reason for us to stand in the way of a Bitcoin ETF. And the big question is Daddy Gensler listening? That, ladies and gentlemen, is the big question. Before we move on, if you've not pressed that like button yet, you don't have to, but it is greatly appreciated. Wouldn't be the first time that Gary Gensler does the exact opposite of what would be a good job. Quote, there is no reason for us to stand in the way of a spot Bitcoin ETP, Peirce said, highlighting her long-standing belief in the viability of such products. She said the SEC needs to do a better job in providing clear guidelines that would allow companies to operate within the defined regulatory framework in the US. It's one thing to say there's been a violation. It's a whole other issue to say, here's the framework that you can comply with realistically, and you can then avoid future violations. But again, that's not the business that they're into for some reason. They're in the business of making your life as annoying as possible. On a completely different tangent, I had many people come up to me ask about XRP. I just want to quickly give an update. Long story short is that I'm still extremely bullish. Not much has changed. I still think in this bull run, XRP is going to be one of the main shiners. However, I will obviously have to admit that there are coins performing better than it right now, and there will be coins performing better than it in any point in the future as well. XRP, in my opinion, is one of those coins that has a very high likelihood of making it big, mostly also because if you think about it, I think many other crypto exchanges are going to be next. I think they know it, but Binance really pushed it to the limit, and I think guys that will be coming next will obviously be able to pay their fines as well. If they're not US exchanges, at least. US exchanges, I think, have significantly less profit than these exchanges elsewhere, and for some reason, I think they're gonna close down quicker or go for a restructuring, etc., etc. But if an exchange is after Binance, which can happen over the next couple of years, right? Well, many different coins will probably be alleged to be securities in the process. Again, like with the Kraken complaint just now, because again, they went after Kraken. XRP, in the reality of things, has gone past all that. And so mostly for that reason, I keep thinking, it doesn't really make sense to exclude XRP from any portfolio, when in reality, it can be one of the last men standing in this entire list. Because if you look at it, almost no crypto is safe. I mean, Bitcoin is, and that's about it. I mean, BlackRock is against USDT and USDC. Solana is in a lot of complaints. BNB, well, we've seen Binance just now in the complaints. Ethereum, yeah, they're not safeguarded. We've got ETHgate, which could be a big problem. Dogecoin is an interesting meme. At some point, some regulatory body might get angry with it. ADA is in the same complaints as Sol, and so forth and so on. XRP is cleared, which is, from that perspective, very interesting. And that makes me realize, guys, many people don't know that the most amount of money will for sure not be made from something like XRP. Can it make you crazy amounts of money? I personally think every single dollar, or let's say it like this, every single $1,000 I'm putting into XRP now, right, at these high prices, because just a couple months ago, the multiplier was way crazier, as the price is already 4x'd in not too long, in my opinion. But if I buy $1,000 worth, it's going to be worth, let's say, $40,000 not too long from now. That's my own conviction. Again, you do not have to believe me, because nobody knows for sure, but that would just make logical sense to me. So it's still crazy gains that I think will be made. But I've stated to you guys many times before that in a bull market, we go hard. We go so hard on these new altcoins because I just know that that's where the money is. And anybody telling me it's not the truth and they can do better this, that, they might just not know. You guys know I don't like to toot my own horn, but I know for a fact 99.9% of the people you speak with, you see on the internet, are either not talking in your best interest or do not know as much as you give them credit for. Anyway, let's quickly get over into my two new I think both of these are going to go absolutely huge gems. Take a look at them, check them out all the way through. Even if you're not able to invest, which I don't think is a bad thing, learn from my moves. I'm not a financial advisor, but investments are my game. They're my bread, they're my blood. And I get many people asking me as well, Dusty, these VCs are manipulating you. Investing is what we do, guys. I know this game in and out. I know all the big players. I can't say I'm on the highest level yet, as I'm not running a $50 billion fund, obviously. But we're doing good. Like I was saying though, this one, crazy amounts of hype. A lot of people massively wanted to get into it, try to get themselves a piece, and it's called Inspect. If you're looking through their followers, you'll notice, hey, there's a pretty good amount of powerhouses in here. And a lot of people that are following it will not even get the opportunity to invest. Even some very well-known XRP guys are following it, like Digital Perspectives and XRP Productions, which is interesting. But I'm telling you right now, this has got some proper names. We got XRP Twin. Yeah, you understand the concept right there. But anyway, take a look at what they planned. So I'm going to tell you right now, I do believe this is going to expand by quite a lot, but this is what they wrote out a couple months ago. Inspect, the first layer 2 for X/Twitter. Main apps of layer 2 are the advanced UI layer and user terminal. Real-time on-chain insights for any token, NFT, and trader. Monitor smart money, be ahead of the curve, and turn your live social feed into signals. I think, as a concept, that's one of the best ideas I've seen in a good while. And you could tell me that the only thing being able to take this down is if X does it themselves or really goes crazy on the UI with the focus on crypto. But I think this is going to be able to prevent a ton of scams, give a ton of people crazy insights, and again, be able to monitor scams better. Of course, monitor smart money. If you don't know, we often call smart money addresses or people that find things before they pop off, have proper trades, have proper DeFi strategies, have proper portfolios. Most of the time, again, being or doing something that the masses are not doing or before the masses do it. For example, if you find an account right now that just bought themselves a ton of a token, and all of a sudden, over the next couple of weeks, that token keeps going insane, you might consider that to be smart money because he knew something. And so if you follow that address, next time he buys something, oh, this time it might be a gutter, but it could also be another massive banger. So that's basically what you start analyzing and what you look into, because everything's on chain. If you ever buy or sell crypto, not on an exchange, but in the real crypto realm, let's call it, it's always recorded, right? So they can't get away from it. The only thing they can do is make a new address so it's not attached back to them. But an address is still going to make that profit, still going to make those early moves. And again, that's smart money. But the idea is just that there'll be an interesting interface on top of all this. And again, I think they're going to expand quite a ton. Right now, though, they're already working hard on getting this extension everywhere. They're doing pretty proper on it, partnered up with Cardano. But I'd recommend to just look into it for yourself. And fun fact, I've seen Inspect so much more, or I should say it differently. I've seen Expect a lot before, not knowing they had a big opportunity, and over the next couple of weeks, I'll be doing something else. I personally think that many of you guys will be able to make tens of thousands of dollars off of farming the right airdrops. And what I'm doing right now, as we speak, right now 3:30 a.m., so I'm going to take a little nap in a bit, but tomorrow morning, right back onto the grind to work out proper airdrop tutorials, find out which are the proper airdrops, find out which platforms to interact with, and I'm doing this on a massive scale. We've got a little group of people sitting down every single day doing research right now, because if you do this game properly, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars per person. And even though for some people that's not that interesting, you got to understand it's not really that much effort if you find the right projects. And if you farm them properly, we're talking millions of dollars. And that's where most people start thinking, hey, let's give that a little look. And the next thing, this one is really interesting. And I don't think any of you guys have seen a project like this before, nor will you probably ever see it again, at least not anytime soon, because they have found something special, and in a smart manner they've done it, but it's pretty freaking huge, especially if you know what I know. But just what these guys have done at Uranium 308 is find a way to tokenize uranium. Now, I don't know how difficult it will be to get this all approved. And like I always say, don't just take my word for it, always do your own due diligence and research. For example here, Madison Metals, the resource team, is a publicly listed upstream mining and exploration company focused on sustainable uranium exploration and production. And let's just come back to the basics here. If I ask you right now, hey, where can you get some uranium? If you don't know what it does, just Google it, man. But most likely, I'm expecting 99.9% of you to be like, you know, I know what uranium is, but I would never know where to find it or how to get access to it or how to be involved with it, etc., because again, it's not something easy to do. It's not something you can quickly get your hands on, at least for the most part. And so the idea that you can now buy it in a tokenized form, in my opinion, is absolutely huge. I like to invest in this sector, and if you're in the right jurisdiction, you can even get your uranium delivered to you if you want to redeem your tokens for obviously actual uranium. As you can see right here, eligibility for delivery of this U308 requires ownership of a minimum of 20,000 tokens representing 20,000 pounds of this uranium. As you got to understand, every single token, as it says right here, is a pound. Here are just traditional U308 futures, by the way, so you can see how the price of that is doing. You're going to see that the peg is pretty juicy, but the price of this has just absolutely exploded over the years. And I kind of wish somebody told me about this whole sector earlier, but I like the idea, like I said, of actually getting your hands on it. Even though I don't need it physically, a tokenized version of it is good enough. Interestingly enough, the let's call it backing company here, not doing so good right now, but over time here, they've been doing amazing as well. And you can see right here a news headline, Uranium 308 launches to the public, forever changing how uranium is traded, bought, and sold. And again, if you're wondering, the ticker is $U. And with these type of projects, man, I'm telling you, You very often just don't know these things exist unless you find the right, in my case here, investors that share with you the opportunity. Because if I didn't get it from them, if I didn't get it from some extremely trustable sources, I would have never thought it was actually possible. So yeah, that's why I'm, as I said before, pretty excited about things like this. Again, perhaps if you're not as expansively mindset as I have or am, whatever, then this sounds stupid to you. But the idea for me that I'm getting access to something which is hard to get access to through a tokenized form, because again, I'm a crypto guy. Yeah, that's good. I like to speculate on uranium price. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And so I think as time goes on, I'll be talking about this a lot more. A little bit of an ugly looking chart right now, because at the end of the day, it has to come back to the peg, right? At some point, it's over or undervalued. You want as much liquidity as possible over time to get as close to the other prices, or obviously, in theory, above it or below it if you want to arbitrage. But yeah, not something for everybody. But if you ever thought, hey, I need some uranium, I want to diversify into crazier things, you know, sometimes you find good opportunities. But both of these are the ones I just got into right now. What else? Oh yeah, the one more sale I was also getting into was Unigrid right now as we speak. Amazing guys, met them multiple times over in Dubai. Again, also, I noticed there's a ton of interest in this. But with Unigrid, I'm going to tell you like this. They just know what they're building, you know? So I wouldn't say these guys are the pinnacle of hype. No. But with some projects, you don't need crazy amounts of hype. You just want those guys to know what they're actually getting into, know what they're building, know what they're putting on the table. And so you're placing different investments for different reasons. At least I am. If you go over to the website, it's just such a good use case. They've thought these things through so much. It's so smart. And this makes me realize again, people are just disrupting this entire, just destroying this market with ideas that are so convenient and smart, yet for some reason, it's not getting traction yet. Again, the pitch, I'll just give it to you quickly, which, oh, damn. And by the way, I must add, I met these guys before there was ever any talks of any token and any sale of any sort. This whole token idea is pretty recent, but I loved the idea back then too, and they were busy / working on it a ton more. Take a look. Unigrid is the next natural step in the evolution of the internet, a load-balanced network that is completely anonymous and resistant to eavesdropping. The segmented design features sharding, data striping, and parity blocks, creating a network that protects against service disruption and data loss. Anybody can contribute resources to a network by hosting a grid node, which is basically a service node, supplying bandwidth, compute cycles, and storage space. And then here over on the right, it basically tells you how much you can make for exactly what you provide. And to be honest with you, you don't know how crazy good their marketing is going to be, but idea-wise, right? And that's where I start seeing the money. Would it really be that crazy if they were on par with something like Filecoin? And if we're saying, hey, you know what, these guys are new, even though they're not new to the whole game, they're just new to the token, you know, and it's not the peak of the bull run yet. We're going to take them a couple inches smaller. I mean, Filecoin is a couple $2 billion. This being a couple $100 million is a pretty low number if you ask me. In terms of potential, because again, you see guys that are not necessarily the same, but with a concept that can be in some way, shape, or form, you know, compared with, oh, my neighbors must hate me, by the way. It is 4 a.m. and I'm screaming like a madman. Because honestly, I'm hearing sounds, but I'm not sure if it's my refrigerator, my neighbors, or if my walls are making noise. And then one coin I sold everything off is Polygon. This is a joke, but it's a funny. You know, every single time Nas Daily, this very famous YouTube creator, talks about somebody in the crypto space, they seem to go down quickly afterwards. He talked about Sam Bankman-Fried, boom, down, dead. CZ, he talked about them with a funny video, boom, over and done with, you know, convicted, etc. And now we can see ourselves a little Polygon video. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, Polygon might be next. Anyway, if you've got different coin suggestions for me to look into, I said it over on Twitter too. I'm buying all your top altcoins. I don't really care too much. Any coin you think will 100x, put it down below. Obviously, I will not buy about 99% of the things people say because most people seem to not know what they're talking about. But sometimes, just sometimes, I just haven't come across them yet. And then somebody shares it in the comment section, which is why I take every comment extremely serious. I look at every single coin that they share, and I buy everything that looks good. You also gotta understand, if you go to as many conferences, you wonder, Dusty, why do you go all over the world? I told you many times. The only thing I do, meet investors, meet different crypto people. I was putting my fingers in the air, but you couldn't see. Meet project founders. An example is you go to a different country to sit down with Solana because you want to kind of see if they can get you in on a very specific investment of a platform launching on Solana and so forth and so on. And of course, because I like traveling. But through that, you meet many of these guys. You meet like most projects that a lot of people share. I've met them, and at least you have an idea whether or not they're good BSers or just completely stupid. These guys, for example, solid builders, know exactly what they're talking about. Don't know if they've got a token. It kind of seems they do. I didn't know about it. But at least I can vouch for the fact that the people I've met from 𝗪𝗲𝗄s, yeah, they're proper blokes. I think I met them in Austin, Texas. Not 1,000% sure, but again, doesn't mean I would invest. It would just mean that I might have, because this is the truth here as well, I completely forgot that project existed. As you meet them and they're like, but then somebody reminds you now, you're like, ooh, let me take a look. And then perhaps you open up the connection again, or perhaps I open up a chart again and I notice, hey, indeed, they were actually fundamentally quite nice. I should actually perhaps buy some. But then of course you start looking at 𝗫𝗄. Here, for example, right? Never heard of this guy, but he's a follower, so I love you. But he's talking about 𝗓𝗪𝗲 here. I notice, hey, a couple of my friends are following them. Looking into it, thinking, hey, okay, there's something there. So I didn't buy anything, but I'm just like, okay, I'll look into it. If somebody sends me this, it looks absolutely ass. I'm not clicking this. I'm not even going into it. And with projects like this, for example, most likely a scam. If I were to buy it, I'm prepared to lose every single dollar I've got. But you know what? If the hype's there, I'm buying it. I don't care. Many of the old altcoins I'm seeing here again. Many bots seem to be in this list. I very much appreciate you guys all for just coming in hot and saying which coins I should check out. As I said before, I do look into every single suggestion. And some people really know what they're talking about. Here, I didn't actually take a look at this one just quite yet, but I'm going to do that right now. Somebody says, hey, I bought this one pretty early. Competitor on Polkadot chain. So, okay. He seems to know what he's talking about. Let me take a look. Because maybe, just maybe, I skipped it. Maybe I didn't have the right connections or just nobody brought it up to me. And how I do my analysis, I think will become clear as the market picks up more steam. You'll start to notice a pattern. It's very hard to put into words exactly which projects should receive money and which ones shouldn't. A lot of it is based on the backing. A lot of it is also whether or not I've heard it or about the project from other people. A lot of it is, have they got the marketing in check? Do you know guys that will be involved with this? Another one is, how's the team? Have they done other projects before? Theoretically speaking, if it's a smaller launch, a coin listing only on DEXs, have they got their market making in check? Do you know the market maker? Have they got proper advisors? Doesn't always need to be a lot of them. Could also just be one guy, but if the one guy was basically involved with 300 projects before, it's solid enough. At least you can give good recommendations for the market making, for your marketing strategy, etc., etc. Obviously, you got to look at the mission. What do they claim to do? You buy some coins purely because you're going to try and make money off of it. Some other coins you buy because you believe in the team to be able to put something proper down. Some others you buy for a specific purpose. The uranium one, I'm buying because I want to get exposure to uranium. Inspect one because I think the product is pretty huge, but also because they're so hyped up, I just think it's going to be a banger. If Inspect doesn't do well, I'd be very surprised. I'm telling you right now, if that coin doesn't pop off, then I don't know anything about crypto anymore, because that had every single box checked with the market also with it. Then it, but again, sometimes the market surprises you. Oh yeah, and one more actually. I almost forgot. Here's one of the ones I told you guys about a little while back. I think like 4 days ago or so that I was getting into. Some of these guys you might know that are probably also invested or at least involved. I said before, I'm a pretty big AI connoisseur. You might have seen my AI channel every now and then, but their proof of concept is just, it's huge. All right, no crazy social media presence just quite yet, but I believe everything is starting right now or today or tomorrow. And I think even you guys can get free tokens, but I'll probably update on that tomorrow as I'm not sure fully on the situation. But projects like this, I mean, if you look at this, you got to understand with me as well why it makes sense to put money into it. And if you don't, just stick around the channel for longer, because sometimes it's hard to put into words, but I think through my actions and through my investments, things will make sense over time. And again, the numbers that we're seeing right now are going to be relatively small to what we're going to be seeing over the next couple of months. Because right now, I'd say I'm pretty happy with like a 3 or 5x. But in a couple of months from now, as the bull market picks up, I'm not really happy if I didn't 10x my money like day one, basically. But I'll update more on that as we get closer. And again, you're following my channel for two main things. Some people only come here for the news, and I understand. But some people come here because of the investment. As I've said, I've placed hundreds of investments. I think I might be one of the best authorities you've got on cryptocurrency investing, on YouTube at least, because I don't know many channels that share the in-depth knowledge. Some channels share their investment, sure, but most of them are not really being open with their thought process or other parts of it. They just share, hey, I'm buying these coins for that reason, which feels to me more like they're trying to sell you that coin. I'm not. Please understand, I don't want you necessarily to buy any of the things I talked about. All I'm doing is sharing what I'm getting into right now, why I think it might do well, why I'm buying it, and you do whatever you please. No obligation, no shilling, no nothing like that. I buy these coins because I built a strategy years ago that works. At least for me it does. If I stick with the strategy, I personally know that $1 million goes in and $100 million comes out. If I deviate from a strategy and I go crazy or I go stupid, things end up failing. But if I follow it, in my opinion, it's almost a guaranteed result. So what do? I stick with the strategy that's proven to work over time. And I will say it again. I'm going to try to say this in every video. I'd prefer to lose $1,000 trying something than, having $1,000. Some of you guys would be extremely happy with $1,000. I get it. But for most people over in the West, it's like $1,000 you'll make again, but the investment opportunity you might never get again. Understand also, I'm always very transparent about all of this. I've lost tons of money over time. I mean, if you're not comfortable with losing money every now and then it's significantly harder to make crazy returns. An Elon Musk, a Jeff Bezos, you're not gonna, funny enough, you're not gonna be one of them if you're not willing to lose everything in this investment. That does not mean everything in your life. I mean that you've placed towards this area. Vice versa, and I say this a ton of times too, if you're a person that is very easily satisfied with gains, that is fine also. But don't expect a 700x return if you're a person that cashes out the moment you've doubled your money. I'm not saying that's a bad strategy. Most of the times, cashing out some money quickly is smart because things fall back down. I'm just saying that the ones with Shiba Inu, with all these other things that make the crazy amounts, right, that turn thousands into billions, are either people who forget about their investment, because that can happen. If you place as many investments as I do, you forget some of them. I've had it many times that I look back and think, damn, what was that project I invested in a couple years ago? And then you find a good stash of money because apparently, let's say you invested $4,000. Right now it's 40,000, or pick a number. That is sometimes a nice little bonus. It's like finding money in your pocket, right? Like, hey, I didn't know I had that. Or they're the ones who are, I'm going to say, they've got a little something loose in their brain, because you got to be a little bit of a maniac to turn a couple $1,000s into a couple billion. If you think about it, right? Let's say you place, and I want an honest answer from every person in the comment section down below right now. Let's say you start with $1,000. You put it into the machine, in the crypto machine. You buy a couple of coins. The moment that number goes to $5 million, if you're not cashing out, I'm like, whoa, okay, because that's pretty crazy. But then to let that number go all the way towards 100 million, and you being like, I'm holding on, baby. That requires some steel freaking cojones, man. And then to let that number go from 100 million, this is not cash outable money necessarily, but the value of your tokens, right? So maybe you only get 1/10 of the value out. It's about the idea here. So then let your investment on paper go to $1 billion or a couple $1 billion. Nah, you see, it couldn't be me. I'm saying that now, even though it could if I forget. But if I see that number go up so hard, I'm going to be cashing out parts of it. It's just the truth. But then sometimes people ask me, Dusty, what are you cashing out to? And that's a good question. At the end of the day, you're just buying more investment power with it, right? I mean, your investments, in my opinion, are meant to be the starting capital of the next investments. So you're trying to get as much money as possible, which is, by the way, why I always recommend keeping some sort of flow going. If you have got your money stuck in investments and never touch it, your money's now kind of dead a little bit. You want to at least keep it going every now and then to make sure the money keeps flowing. You don't get too attached to that number you're seeing right there. You're not that uncomfortable with selling or buying more, all that type of stuff. You just keep it flowing. But I'm going on too much of a tangent here again. Guys, hopefully you enjoyed the news. Hopefully you enjoyed my little investment update. And it's past 4 a.m., so we gotta go.